Cool. Should we crack on? Anyone's got any questions, again, just throw it out there. And yeah, this is basically just the session 2. So from the emails, this is a very casual conversation going out with everyone, and more on the fact of like, let's just see where you guys are. So from last session that we did, we kind of covered a lot from MediaCity, conservation AI, and just talking about building the community up here in, well, yeah, the north, kind of pushing all this out. So yeah, I've been trying to integrate myself loads more with NVIDIA, and it's pretty cool, especially the tech that they got coming out. But what I'm thinking is the North has a lot of developers. So let's start bringing everyone together. And that's the main point of this. So yeah, more we can do, more we can get involved. And when we've seen the RTX Hackathon, I just kind of thought, let's jump on the bandwagon. Let's just, use their marketing, go on there, bring it all together. And yeah. So what's that, John? There's a couple of things here. So yeah, tell me off contact of free videos.
I also have been inveigling with NVIDIA and tried to ask them some kit. And they said
Sorry.
They said to
Yeah.
see you and yes, I'm seeing you. You're in free kit there from NVIDIA.
Perfect. Sounds so what John mentioned about then in the chat was like, yeah, to kind of see me. Yeah, because I think everything kind of focuses on the south, and I'm trying to like force my way in by like, just chatting, being there like a bad smell. And it seems to be working. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I think it's out in the open. So I think John Moore's University is building an AI Center of Excellence. And the idea is to work with companies, individuals up here and kind of, they basically just got some massive servers like DGX2s, I think. So with the DGX2 server, I think when it was out last year, they've gone down a lot in price just through efficiency. But I think the servers was about 400 grand each, and they've got 3 of them. But that's the idea, is to help people just run AI up here, because one, it takes like a whole infrastructure. These servers are not small; they're absolutely massive. So like Paul and Carl from Conservation AI, they're leading it all and basically leading the charge for academic AI and just doing some very cool projects, all funded by John Morse. So yeah, so John, I can try and get you in. It's not going to be for a couple of weeks, and same with everyone else, but more of us knocking on the door. That's the whole point of universities. Universities get a lot of money to work with like the public. No, we give them money, and that's what I'm always about. It's kind of like, yeah, well, if they're funded by the government, they're funded by tax, shouldn't we get like a little bit of a claim on some of the stuff that they do and help them spin out companies? So yeah. Cool. So we've got a few other chats. I'll try and read them, but if you want to literally just just speak out, just feel free. I would crack on. Yeah, just the time's going. So yeah, that's the idea. Bring everyone together. So what we're going to be covering today, casual events, so casual chats between us. I want to answer a couple of feedback from some of the forms that was submitted last time, because I thought to do some good feedback, some different questions. I don't think Alex is in the group, which a lot of his questions going to be answered. Introduction to NVIDIA Omniverse, i.e. what it's for, how they're trying to like move everything along, accelerated computing, and then chat about your projects, just an open conversation, and then some questions. Let's see if we can point you in some directions. So yeah, let's just crack on. So I think from last time, honorable mention, MediaCity's pushed a lot of time into organizing these events, getting them up on Eventbrite. I know a few of you don't particularly like Eventbrite, so maybe if there's some other mechanisms to start organizing this stuff, more than happy. And if you haven't been to any of their events, 100% like just recommend them. So yeah, just gonna mute you, Gabby. Sorry. 100% just recommend going to all the events. And I think, I don't know, it's the next slide. They have an event already that's happening tomorrow. So it's a pure virtual production at Pathways. So Pathways XR is where you've seen like LED screens, like huge, massive warehouse full of LED screens, a couple of high-end PCs. They're going to be talking about how they actually build virtual sets being powered by Unreal Engine, and trying to I think they're getting into Omniverse, pushing it like a bit more realistic scenes. But yeah, it is just very much like motion capture suit. So I'll be up there tomorrow. I think it's free to join, especially if they've got spaces left. But highly recommend you going, because there's just going to be a lot of talented people, a lot of big companies up there. I'll be there in my mocap suit, talking about how I get Rococo software using either some of the AI recognition for animations straight into Unreal Engine. So yeah, that's tomorrow, Manchester, just outside the Trafford Centre. It's very cool. So, and I believe there's going to be an animation one at I think it's the 13th of March, 13th and 14th of March. So look on Eventbrite for all these. But that's basically just Manchester's Animation Festival, and they're pushing heavily into how to use AI, how to use Omniverse, what is Unreal, how can we actually use this to speed up animations? Because in the film and animation side of things or industry, it is all about speed. They like to do good concepts and but once you start getting into production, it's how many days can you just scrape off? And if you can work with like items like Omniverse, it just pulls everyone together. Cool. Special mention, to NVIDIA because they're pushing everything, going through it all. And I will say, from what Ross mentioned last week, if you haven't already, the QR codes here just allows you, and I'll share, but yeah, you've got all the slides anyway. But I highly recommend you just signing up just to the GNC or the GTC talks, because there's going to be loads for the conference, but more on the fact of just there's so much learning stuff out there. The only problem with NVIDIA is their websites are pretty terrible for just finding anything. And I've always been like very open and honest about that with the staff from NVIDIA is like there's just too much. Like it's hard to actually find the RTX Hackathon because it's not under any RTX or Hackathon searches. So yeah, cool. So if no one's actually been involved in NVIDIA, has anyone like not been involved in NVIDIA in the chat? So NVIDIA is basically just trying to push on the whole AI front. The reason why is GPUs. NVIDIA is in the game of selling GPUs. They're not really in the game of selling AI or basically games. They enable people to make these, and that is the point of all this. And that's how they've always been. Sell hardware. That's why they are $1 trillion company nowadays. And that's the whole point of it all. So they're building GPUs, CPUs, DPUs. They're basically just like, server grade chips to allow communication a lot faster. Don't quote me on a lot of this stuff because I'm not like proper low level hardware guy. I like kind of just building tools, building applications by just taking a little bit of this, a little bit of this, putting it together. And that's kind of what we do over at my company. And so building up from top of that, how do you actually build or sell more GPUs? Build the software on top of this. And this is where NVIDIA like to actually go. They like to push the kind of blue sky thinking. Think about like what are going to be the big issues. Well, the big issues is compute. How do you get a lot of things like computing a lot faster? The whole AI revolution. And they are in a very good game. The fact that they've only got, I think it's like 21,000 people at the company and they're worth over $1 trillion. Basically 10% of the workforce of what Apple or Microsoft has, and they're worth just as much of them. And I think that's just the power of it all. But to sell GPUs, they need to actually enable everyone else to actually run all the software on top of these. And they are fully moving away from the whole games industry because that's what GPUs were originally for. Now they're all on, real-time ray tracing and simulation data. So, so we'll be chatting a little bit about NVIDIA just in a moment. Special thanks to, Lenovo. I'm not sponsored by them, but I am using their kit, so I'm weirdly sponsored by them. I don't know, just for one of these machines. So the machine that I'm going to show you Omniverse on, some of the AI stuff now, has a 4090 in it, and it just kills. It's only an i7 though, but highly recommend the 4090s. Yeah, it just rips. The fans barely turn on. So definitely reach out to them. Cool. There is a feedback form, a new one. So if you got the link inside of the actual Canva document, it's all on here. So it's only a couple of questions like how can we make things better? What you want to see in session 3? Are you even asked about a session 3? Because and again, thanks very much for like even just turning up. Today's Valentine's Day. So I don't know who's got partners who are annoyed at them, but I really appreciate you kind of coming out and then just giving feedback. So anybody want doing there? We all go through them. We all have a think. And it's more on the fact of, this is the first couple of sessions that we're doing, literally just to test the water, see whether people are interested, see whether people are, kind of eager to build up this community. I'm talking about a community. Caroline's just joined. So, and then, So, hey, Caroline. So just talking about like building a community, and frankly, Caroline, if no one knows Caroline from MediaCity, she is the person to build this community up here in the north, the proper powerhouse, and like getting out there. So really appreciate it. So some of the feedback from here then. So some of the questions last time for the next event, what you want to see be covered. There's only a couple of like things here. So there was like intro to building with NVIDIA Omniverse. So I'm going to cover a little bit of that. There was another one about making XR VR experiences. So I'm not quite sure who did that. But like if anyone's on the call now and you want to ask questions about XR and VR experiences, yeah, either pipe up. I think you may probably talk about like just like the whole scape of it all instead of using AR within these, or sorry, AI within these actual applications. And I can have a little bit of chat at the end, but I keep the focus on NVIDIA Omniverse. Or if anyone else wants to chat about building XR applications, literally just shout out. Cool. So the idea, do you want to share your projects for next time around? So there's a couple of projects that came about. So Alex Keita, he works for Liverpool, or is a student doing masters at Liverpool. He wants to do some more events and like helping like with any AI sign language applications. Don't think Alex is actually in the chat. Nope. And then we got a couple others. So I think Tim, you mentioned about kind of building AI to help teaching students. So I don't know if you want to actually shout out and chat about those. But yeah, we've got some ideas to actually do some hackathons with Liverpool Uni, and NVIDIA's behind it to bring out some on. So yes,
I'm
hey,
here
Bob.
if you want some more
Tim,
detailed insight.
sweet. Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, go on. So was you the dude who said about XR VR experiences, or like the teaching one, or?
No, I just sort of fill in the blanks regarding the the national curriculum one. Yes, I mean I pinged you an email about it, didn't I, Dave? I mean, it's like just one strand and thread of a much bigger plan.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to chat about your project, or like, because I think like we've got like lots of smart people on the call and we can chat about it. So like, I think my responses were quite short. But yeah, I just kind of thought chat about it now if you want. So yeah.
Well, I'll talk about this strand because I mean it was so multifaceted. I mean it was basically like writing an essay. It's probably the easiest essay I've ever written.
Yeah.
Free flowing. But so I mean, I think the part that I thought, well, it could be just like a really nice little money spinner, just sell it to the government, I don't know how that works with public funding, of course, but I think the idea is that, teachers, I mean, they get a lot of flack, I think, by people who just don't understand, what it's like to work in primary schools and secondary schools, but like a lot of the time is just spent just dredging, the internet, trying to find resources appropriate to the individual child that they're differentiating their lesson for. And so, I mean, I think teachmate.ai it comes pretty close. I mean, I haven't tried it myself, but I've seen a lot of sort of things online about it. But I guess my feeling on it is like, could you like hyperlink the actual national curriculum, almost like a moneysupermarket.com or confused.com or whatever, and basically just have it as like a one-stop shop for finding the exact resource that you're looking for. And I guess cheers, thanks.
I was going to say, how are you going to go about building that? Or John, if you've got any ideas, because I've got some ideas about like what LLMs you would use, or like the processors, or some links anyway, because I've kind of seen some good search options for it all. So yeah, sorry, John.
I'd be super interested to hear this move forward actually, because I've been looking at this for a while. So I've got I've been talking to an ex-product manager from Spotify for a while because she's been really gung ho for trying to fix this, trying to sort this out as well. Because obviously it needs doing quickly and it's kind of a blank canvas. The problem that we have discovered is there's incumbents, and those who are teachers or partners of teachers will recognise this straight away. There's incumbents in the ed tech sector who hold the gate to this basically, and there doesn't seem to be a way. No matter how good you make your product, there's no way to inject it into classrooms, nor is there a way to easily get the product the product research that you need to do in order to find out what their pain points and problems are. I mean, obviously you can get some of it because everybody's got access to a teacher, and we can kind of distill that information. But it's difficult to do it in a regulated way, or in a kind of a methodical way. And we kind of ran aground against that stuff. So as part of the research that I was doing around that, the Khan Academy, I think it's called Khan Migo, their ed tech tutor Socratic kind of support framework engine that they have built. They were behind the curtain with OpenAI before OpenAI were ChatGPT. They are probably the educational vendor that got Bill Gates so excited when they were challenged to go and do that. So they were working for a long, long time behind that. Now, annoyingly, you can't sign up to this unless you're in the States. But if you have a look into it, it's very well engineered, and from before ChatGPT was even kind of in the picture on this. So into that as a pair, there are three kind of gateways into these ed tech apps that you might want to look at. Obviously there's the student pupil kind of chat interface with the structured learning from the app, and then there's the parent interface, and then there's the teacher interface where you inject the curriculum, whatever it is. Now, those are three separate big work packages, of which the most problematic that we found was the bit around the UK curriculum / access to UK teachers / building that thing out, right? Because what you want to do is reduce the workload, not increase the workload. So what you want is something that really it should be managed at the school level. And the minute you hit the words managed at the school level, you hit the incumbents and the ed tech providers who are already in there, and then you stop. All right, and that's as far as we got with it. I think the technical problems are kind of less trouble than all of that. And on discovering that, I kind of wound it in a bit and stopped concentrating on that, if that makes sense. But I'm super keen to see that box opened up in a good way. So that if we can get a critical mass around it, that'd be amazing.
Awesome, dude. I think, yeah, just to throw my 2 cents in there, 100% agree. Like we've been trying to sell a lot of our software into schools for about 2 years now, and it is just like, okay, like as soon as you want to kind of talk to them, nope, we've got no money, kind of shuts down. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. But they kind of complain a lot about a lot of stuff. And it's like, no, we want to fix stuff. So I think a lot of the time, well, the biggest change was the pandemic. Everyone was forced to use Zoom. And I think that's like just, I don't know, I'm not saying I want another pandemic to like kind of force everyone into like using AI, but that just forced everyone kind of doing a crash course in a lot of this stuff. But one thing I would say, even like when you're doing like education stuff, like a lot of education is going into trusts now. So if you're in with one trust, they kind of literally just go, okay, you should be using this because you're a part of our trust. It's kind of like the educational BNI. It's like one of us type of thing. So yeah, but I don't know. Yeah.
I found a potential way in actually on this. Expat kind of UAE overseas schools
Mm.
they have a huge number of UK teachers who've gone over there, and they're very agile, right? So they have enormous money, and they're very agile. What you want to do is get kind of a product up to an MVP that's suitable for the workflows of teachers who teach like UK teachers teach, because that's the problem that we're trying to engage with, because it's been done in America and there's no point in trying to deal with that problem, because Carmigo are not for profit, and they are well ahead on this one because they've been behind the curtain with OpenAI. So what you need to do is kind of have people who understand the problems of delivering an ed tech product with it backed by AI, that's considerate to parents' needs, considerate to child's needs. There is I suspect, and I've only got as far as the suspect on this, so it's fairly useless information, but I suspect that there's a pool of ex UK teachers there who are far more accessible. And if you look at Dubai or whatever, they've got all of these cities have websites for people who are moving over to join technical careers over there, that hold the hand on giving them access to the schools and the ratings of the schools and the contact details of the schools. So there's a centralized repository of how to contact these people, and they have compatible educational systems depending on who you pick, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Like I'd love to just chat with you on that one, dude, and like say, Tim, does that help you out a bit? Because I'll move on to get onto the Omniverse stuff. But anything else you want to say?
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant insights. I mean, this is the sector that I'm primarily sort of cutting my teeth on, if that makes sense, both in accessing education and trying to just bring sense to the sector about it. Because honestly, like even last week, I'll be very quick. I was in a school teaching, and they were umming and ahhing, like, oh, I've got to write this report, it's going to take me ages, and I just said, talk about it, record or transcribe it, throw it to ChatGPT, it'll summarize it perfectly, you'll be done in 2 minutes. And like they just couldn't believe it, and they felt like they didn't trust it, and it's just like that's what I'm coming up against a lot, you know.
Yeah, I think like just on that note, anyone else kind of in this game, like we know ChatGPT, and I think we need to give ourselves a break sometimes of just how far removed people in other sectors are in other jobs, because I think like a lot of people still haven't even heard of ChatGPT, or they might have heard on the news like, oh, AI stuff, cool. But I think the average person still doesn't understand just how powerful it is as a tool for speeding stuff up. But then also on the other hand is schools, colleges, councils, a lot of them are stopping using it because now they've realized, oh, anything you put into ChatGPT gets absorbed through like the licensing model. So there's even like quality assurance stuff where you can just install a box into someone's school and say, no, that's your own version of ChatGPT with a RAG. Can I mention about it last time? So anything you ask is kept locally offline. So I think that's a massive market. That's a market that I want to start selling into, i.e., pushing the Lenovo stuff and just local GPT. Yeah.
I agree. I agree completely. I've been looking at that for overseas as well, because there edge putting like a an NVIDIA edge box into isolated communities, stuff like that. What you want to be able to do is get into places where they're really keen on this stuff, because they're not kind of mired down in bureaucracy and overwork and all of the problems that we know we're trying to address. But you want to get somewhere where there's a bit more freedom to make not riskier choices, but slightly more slightly differentiated choices. I think edge boxes can go into isolated communities a lot more and attract funding, and you can do a lot of kind of multilingual trialing of stuff like that. Get your rag stack all sorted out and get that kind of edge stuff all shaken out quite well. And so, as I say, with the UAE stuff and the overseas teachers, you can start to get yourself to the point where you have a trustable product, and it's getting that trustable product that's the problem with the incumbents who have a trusted product. But the kids and look, employees of companies and mature students, everybody is now using this quietly and in secret if they have to, because it improves everybody's quality of work and quality of life. So and as you say, David, the numbers are really tiny. It's hundreds of thousands of people have downloaded the ChatGPT app, hundreds of thousands, not millions. So 0.004% of the eligible world population. I looked at it. We're in a bubble here. We think the people are using it, they're just not. But people who need to get through a lens like an exam and stuff, they're using it, but they're having to use it on the slide. Now, that's not how things should be taught, and that's what we need to kind of shake out of the system. And I don't, and it's an urgent piece of work for the kind of the national honesty and health on this stuff. But I'm trying to find ways around it now, like you are, David, because we're not going to be able to move fast enough if we build up kind of a community and a kind of a push against this, because it's too slow.
Yeah, I think agreed. But I think like the fact that we're all coming together, that's what I want to build, because I didn't know that you're interested in the like school sectors. Same with you, Tim. And it's like, cool. Now there's three of us instead of one of us type of thing. And then same with everyone else. But now I think it's cool. Sweet. I'm just gonna jump on to the next slide. So a couple of the other feedback. What do you got? Yeah. Do you need GPU resources? So this, I wouldn't even know where to begin with some of this stuff. So NVIDIA give free GDC resources. So if you need to train any models, do any testing, they give lots of access to GPUs. Also got like quite a few in our office. Hopefully soon, the John Moore's basically AI center, they should be giving out access to this. There's some politics being played there, but don't quote me on the politics type of thing. But yeah, we'll go over some of this stuff. So any other feedback? Yep, really good feedback. Love that, guys. Yeah, kind of makes it all worthwhile. This little bit, really wish I had time and money to upskill. So that money can't help you with the time, but with the money type of things, a lot of the resources on NVIDIA is all free. Well, a lot of the courses are free, 99% of them. But I would say, just need to check them all out. And that being said, let me see. I think this is just sharing my screen. Let me go back. So going through these, can you still see my screen? Yeah, sad. So a lot of these, the NGC catalog, this is where you get like a lot of your models from. So you load your Llama models, your 70B models, all like done by like Meta, all on the top of things. So Meta and NVIDIA are coming very close together. I like the stuff that Meta's doing in the whole AI space. You might hate them, might love them, but the fact is they've just bought half of the GPUs from NVIDIA to model the next open AI type of works. So yeah, you've got loads of here, deep learning frameworks or the HPC collections, high performance computing. A lot of this stuff is all free just to play around, tinker with. Some of the other ones, the NVIDIA Academy. So this Academy, I've got a bit of an issue for this. This is more for people installing hardware and the software. So if you want to kind of like, yeah, be one of those people that are certified, because you can't be certified in Omniverse or a lot of the others. You can be an ambassador for AI, more for academics, but you can't do it for like, yeah, this type of stuff. But it's still good. You know, if you want a job, installing servers, get paid a lot of money, job done. To give a lot of these for free. So yeah, I'd just say go through these couple of courses, 20 minutes long. It's all good. The next one, the Deep Learning Institute. This is one that I would say, and then I think Path or Path. Sorry, don't know if pronounce your name correctly. I'd have a look here. So if you want to have like trouble, like getting ChatGPT or sorry, Chat installed onto your local Windows machine, this is where you should be going. Self-paced. It's all free online to use the GPUs. So if you don't have a good computer, just do it all remotely through this. And again, it's all very cool. I've been through a couple of these, not all of them, because there's just a lot, so loads there. But the problem is with NVIDIA is you got one site for a catalog, you got an academic site, and then you got a deep learning site, all different URLs. This is the problem with NVIDIA and what I'm trying to like, yeah, build those lists from. So cool. I'll jump back on. So present. Nice. Cool. So a couple of feedback, more in-person hackathons. It's quite hard, especially with GPUs. If you don't have a good PC, how can you run Llama models on laptops and stuff? So there is a barrier to entry. So it'd be good to hear people's thoughts on this. But the idea is like MediaCity does some very good events and they've got some decent PCs at their locations. And we're trying to do a couple of more throughout these. Anything else you want to ask? So please get involved with the AI Hackathon. So that's Alex Keita. So if you are involved or if you want to do any, what is it, like judging or just checking out some of the talent at Liverpool Uni. Yeah, he's trying to set up a hackathon over on a weekend of March. I'll be there, hopefully judging. Depends whether he wants me there to actually judge. But yeah, let's like, yeah, build this together. Cool. So for anyone who hasn't seen some of the stuff that we do at Scenegraph Studios, bit of a plug, but this is what we want to do. So I'm just going to quiet that down and it still comes back on. So for anyone who's new here, sorry if you've seen it last time, but the idea of what we do as a company is kind of building tech for good. A bit of a douchey term that, so yeah, forgive me a little bit, but it's kind of like it is the mantra. So what we've been building is the idea of like VR applications to reduce anxiety, and we're doing quite well with that. Selling into a lot of councils, a lot of local authorities, and if you're struggling to sell into schools, local authorities are very open to new ideas, new tech. And then what we're building now, after we built like the VR application to reduce anxiety, is to build AI models to do like interview skills training. So we've got MetaHumans, different ones for different jobs, but we can train the AI to only talk about specific instances or specific industries. So this is what we've been building over the last good couple of months, just to do like interview skills training. So a user speaks into a microphone. So we've got speech to text. That's one AI model. And then text to Llama 2. So we use the Llama 2 C++ version because it's a lot faster from the wrapper. We are going to be looking at Triton and a couple of other inference engines, but it just seems to be working. And it's faster, so very fast. So yeah, we can do, yeah, speech to text, text to Llama model, then that Llama model into the RAG database, i.e. the database of information that we wanted to only talk from. And then, yeah, back to, what is it, text to speech. So, yeah, we need completely different AI models, all on different inference engines to actually process that. At the end of it all, because it's all recorded, we then do sentiment analysis on the actual speech of what you've said. Is it happy? Is it positive? Is it negative? If it's negative, use different, basically just a large language model again, just to suggest some changes for you. And that's it in a nutshell. So this is a very old demo. I'm going to say old. No audio. Okay. Classic Dave. Cool. I think, yeah. Where is this? I'll share it around afterwards. So yeah, because I think the idea is like just you get that motion, but it is just a sub-contained. But the idea of why we use a RAG is so we don't have to worry about guardrails, because anything else that it wants to talk about, well, it won't, because it needs to go into that data store. Cool. So why we're all here, developer contest. So the RTX, yep, developer idea. So you had the little hackathon closing at the end of this month, which is pretty cool. Just wondering, anyone out there, has anyone started on the project? Because I think we've been on session 1. We've been talking about more of the ideas of like how to set up a project. This one is to kind of, let's see where you are with that project. So has anyone actually been building anything? I think, Path, you mentioned something about you're having trouble with getting, what is it, the chat with RTX. Don't know if you want to talk about your project. Is Path still in here? No.
No, I think just left.
Yeah, fair enough. Sounds.
I'll be back.
So, Sad, has anyone else started with anything? If you have, feel free to reach out. Or has anyone got some ideas of where do you want to go? So, Gabby, you working on any AI projects, or you just here just to have a little look at like the Omniverse stuff?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. Nice.
So yeah, I haven't started the project. I just found out about this hackathon last week, and I also use Linux, so I don't know what that probably would be a problem to create for Windows using Linux. I don't know, but what I'm working on for fun is to try and mimic a real human conversation with AI, and how can what do you need to do in order to make it think a little bit more about what the conversation is about. So what I'm planning to do is, I don't know if anyone of you have done it before, and if you have any insight of using like llama model to create speech, and then using a BERT model to analyze sort of the sentiment, or like to reason about what the person is responding to the AI,
So I think
and
like
see if that.
so might be worth you coming to check out some of our stuff, some of the new ones that we've been building, because like
Yeah.
everything you've kind of just said is everything that we're building. Maybe not the whole kind of full fluid motion of like the reasoning behind stuff, because that's a huge task in itself. But more like
Yeah.
keep to a conversation. So I think it all depends on like the balance. So what we've been basically doing is like testing a lot over the last couple of months of like
Yeah.
because certain words in the Llama model, or at least in the context, will just let it go off in random directions. So if you kind of say please and thank you, say like, oh, can you please not say this? It'll just say it because you put the idea in the head. Where if you say like,
Yeah.
do not say, do not. Like if it seems to have a lot more
Yeah.
weighting into like the do not or never say this. So the kind of do not is like
Yeah.
more like, yeah. So it's those little bits that go into the context, but it's not always correct, because sometimes it'll just ignore and then just go down it, because it's all kind of probabilities. This is where the RAG helps, the retrieval augmented generation, I think it stands for. So that helps you to kind of stay on point. So
Yeah.
anything you put in, and you can dump in loads of like text files, PDFs, and it just scrapes it all, vectorizes the data. It takes roughly about 5 seconds to do for the data that we're using, 15 pages, just for tests. I'll say like, here's what you should be pretend to be, or the data like that you can actually scrape from for this marketing company that we're working with.
Do you record the conversation and put it into the vector database as it goes, as it progresses?
No. So we kind of just skip that. So there's a couple of ones that you can do. So you can do query based or context based. So context based, given the amount of like tokens that you can have with Llama. So we're using 7B, so you get about 4,000 tokens in total. So it will remember roughly about 3 conversations or 3 sentences behind, but then it starts losing. So if I say, hi, my name's Dave, I'll go, hi, Dave, carry on the conversation, and it'll keep referring to me as Dave, but then it'll just stop. It's like it's kind of lost it, but then
Yeah.
also we've noticed from our testing, again, we need to do a lot more testing, that the actual tokens are being lost. So previously in the last couple of weeks that we've done it is once we got to the full context, i.e. 4,000 tokens, it will just stop responding because I don't know, we've done something wrong with the memory, setting it up. So again, it's still early days for this. So yeah.
I remember seeing some kind of analysis on somebody posted on Reddit of different models and how far they remember and how far they lose. So if you fill up all the memory, it will start forgetting what you said, in that even though you feed the whole memory back into the model again.
Yeah,
it
I
just
think
sort
that's
of, yeah.
I think that's always going to be, I think, just a problem with processing power. And I think this is why like a lot of them just hook up into like massive like servers, in short, where if you're doing it on a local machine, it's all about like not just like VRAM. So VRAM is very important, but also just the RAM in itself. But yeah, we can definitely have a chat about that because this is what we're building, because we want to build it as in like to do interviews. Interviews have to be very personal, to help people actually get a job. What happens if someone just goes off on a tangent? Well, we've got mechanisms in there to see whether people swear and to just end the interview, or
So what
to
kind
actually
of
go on. What did you say?
what kind of libraries do you use
Libraries.
for writing it?
Yeah, so we just use Llama. So Llama 2, 7B,
Right.
but we've quantized it to 4-bit.
But do you use what LangChain or Llama, CPP,
Yeah. So
Python? Do you write C++ or do you write Python?
so it's all in Python, sorry. But like we use the Llama 2 CPP version. So the CPP is the inference engine around it, which allows you to communicate because we hook it up into Unreal Engine. To do it that way.
Okay.
So
I
this is
don't
where
know.
our
I
meta
didn't
humans
really
talk.
know.
Yeah. So we've got a Linux box, we've got a Windows box. So
I see.
and then we just communicate through them. So that means that we can have multiple Windows, i.e. Unreal Engine applications, all talking to the one, because you'll be surprised how much processing power Unreal Engine takes from the GPU.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, but like
Okay,
it just spikes. Yeah. So
yeah.
so that's why we kind of split it up, but it just spikes when we do any inference, but then just goes down to nothing. So it's like, okay, so a lot of these like large language models just sit there doing nothing when it's on the GPU. But the more like best GPU you can have, it's the speed. So when you're doing conversations, it's not always about the actual response. A lot of the time, it's just about the first instance of talking. So we mimic that by just throwing off animations. So like in games, like anytime like you're playing a game and you throw a grenade, during that time, it's roughly about 0.4 seconds from taking the grenade out, pulling it, throwing it. That's when everything else syncs up to say, yeah, you have a grenade, especially when you're working with networking. But that animation of just starting and then maybe stopping, like that basically just allows the audience to go, oh, they've done something. They've realized there's nothing there. Why all these checks are happening in the background? Because that's the biggest problem that we've had with our stuff is, oh, okay, it's pretty crap. I was like, what do you mean it's pretty crap? Like we've trained this AI to only talk about construction for this specific job, and you're conversing with it about this job. And they're like, oh, it's pretty slow. I was like, you've waited 3 seconds for a response. It's like, yeah, pretty slow. I was like, that's just killed conversations and potential sales. So it's all about this weird mimicking. So yeah, I don't want to kind of slag off my own work, but it's like, yeah, that's it when you're working with people. But one thing I would say with especially education, so when we're showing this to education providers, they love it. They don't give an absolute crap about the AI. They're like, oh, okay, it's AI. What they do love is the PDF output. What? So it summarizes the conversation. Oh my God, that's amazing. And it's like, but that's the easy bit. Like we're already doing speech to text. Like we're just writing it out. It's like, I don't know. I think first time I heard that, I was very shell shocked. Going, hang on, but we've just spent 6 months developing this, and you don't care. And the one PDF output that took half a day because it's just a PDF output of text, they loved, and that's what sold it for us to get into a couple of unis now. And it's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. But I think that harpers back onto the conversation with John and saying like, a lot of people are so far removed because it's not their job. Our job is techies. Their job is teaching. children and primary school teachers and like learning all that stuff. And that's the idea. And this is where I want to kind of bridge the gap. But we can only do this with people. So John.
Yeah, we have to talk all this through, you and I. That communication piece, I've realised, is just like it's just like a wall that's there that none of us can see, and it's really like I need to learn how to explain what is happening to people who don't need to think about this, in terms of AI happening to them. And then suddenly just being very confused and having to catch up really quickly in a world where there's not that much, it's going to be harder to get all of that information. I think we need to, it's almost like putting together a targeted training piece aimed at the parties who need to have that explained to them. You know what I mean? I've got a load of known unknowns now that I wasn't expected to have to engage with.
Yeah. Well, I think like I'd 100% be up for that as a group. Like kind of how do we actually tackle this and get AI out there more, but also trusted more. So yeah. So it'd be cool. But come down to the office, try it out. And then same as anyone else. If anyone else wants to try this stuff out, cool, more the merrier. Like feedback is good back. So yeah.
One thing that I probably mentioned it to you before. What I've done for last year's World Makefest in the summertime, and we put up speech to text microphone, and people would talk in the microphone, and Stable Diffusion would generate pictures for them. So I don't know if you would be, I don't know what you do exactly with schools and what kind of products are you trying to sell that, but I don't know if maybe kids would be interested in seeing this in schools at some point.
I don't just think kids. Like there's a bit that I'm going to show. Like we'll look at the time. There's a bit that we're going to show because I think in Omniverse, like they've got the speech to text, but material generation. So how does the scene look? That is powerful. So like let's say like if you give this to a manager and you just say to the manager, right, say what you want the cushions to look like. I want flowers. Cool. That speeds up so much because they can visually see it that fast. I think just having 2D textures, that's kind of been done quite a bit. But I say it's kind of been done. It's kind of been done for us because we're in this industry, but then applying it onto 3D models or even movies or something that is the next step. But it's an easy step because like 3D models in the scene, they're just 2D textures wrapped around the 3D mesh type of thing. So yeah, cools. Right, I'm just going to crack on. So I think last time we started talking about an actual project itself. So just to reiterate on that, kind of push it on it, I'm going to skip through these quite a bit and just jump onto the demo. But the idea for this whole hackathon is going to be a text-based or a visual-based or a general AI development. So for anyone else in the room, I proposed this idea of creating a project plan for Dungeons and Dragons. So I've started playing a little bit with family members, and it's like, okay, this is hard. It's more hard to actually create the storylines. So what I was thinking is, Dungeon Masters, they have to create the stories in their heads, plan out potentially a year's worth of story with different chapters, going through it all. Could they use some kind of prompt engineering, so text-based AI, RTX chat, to actually create a script, some storylines, push into the whole idea of like, I want to start here. Then automated that prompt, i.e. what you've done, Gary, what you actually said, into generating some assets for you. Cool. After that, so that's your visual AI using Stable Excel, Diffusion Excel, and then going on to a general purpose AI. But where I was saying for this plan, I think it's a pretty good plan because I haven't stopped thinking about it, to tell you the truth, is to be able to do speech to text, i.e. just listening to everything that you're saying. So the AI remembers the whole story all the way through your campaign. So if your campaign is a year long, you can just ask back. It's like, hang on, what was that, bartender's name back like in February? Cool. It'll just go into the database, retrieve it, talk about it, and then you just say, okay, make a picture for him. And it's this kind of loop that we just keep going back to. And that's where I see the RAG being very powerful for someone like this. But the idea here is text-based stuff, Llama CPP, already done. Visual stuff, Diffusion Excel, general AI, i.e. the RAG stuff. RAG is built into NVIDIA Tech already. You just have to make the importers. And that's where I think Omniverse will be very good for. I think we've already done this, sharing the ideas, but if anyone's got any more, unmute yourselves. but I will just crack on. So I think one important thing to mention about NVIDIA Omniverse is its power. So NVIDIA Omniverse, I'm going to do a separate talk on this because I've got loads of slides from NVIDIA now. Basically, like they just sent me 123 amazing slides to explain everything about it. I thought it was too much for like 123 slides for this session. Nah. But the idea around Omniverse is if you guys use like Blender, Unreal Engine, Revit, or any other applications, these can all talk through NVIDIA Omniverse. So the idea around this is, yeah, it's all open. It's open source. It's free to use. And what I said before is like NVIDIA's in the realms of selling GPUs, not really software. So the software is free. If you're an enterprise, it's quite expensive, but everyone, all the big players are moving to this, but you can build AI models directly into it. So what I'm going to show here, so there's no audio on this. So I'm just going to do this. But inside of NVIDIA Omniverse, they have the Isaac Sim. So Isaac Sim allows you to run simulations for AI, simulations by AI, and generating the idea of highly accurate 3D models or 3D scenes, because they are ray trace scenes, they look realistic for light. The idea is we can start creating data sets for the AI to be trained on. So for example, if you've got a warehouse model, randomize the whole scene, change the day, change the lights. But the power of Omniverse, like you're seeing a kind of like couple of slides one by one, it can generate thousands of images in a second. To train AI, you need huge amounts of data sets. And what we could see here, each one of these scenes, different car parks data. If you've got those scenes, you can then start doing different visualizations on it. What you see like segmentation, depth sensing, these all go straight into the idea of training AI models. So AI models to actually go across the floor, so robotic sensors and everything in between. And it's all in Isaac Sim. But it's all for free. So let me see if I can go on this one. So if you ever haven't been on NVIDIA Omniverse, where is this? Sorry. Let me get this. If you haven't been onto the website, this is what it looks like. Very simple. Do loads of stuff on there, realistic rendering, physics demos, playing around, segmentation of data. And honestly, it's too much. It's too much in one application. I don't want to say like there's too much power, but if you're working in 3D, especially for like any like artist or scenes or making visualization or even just developing AI models for 3D, this is where you want it to go. So once you start up, I know we're kind of coming to the end, so I'm just going to quickly go over this. But once you download it, you can download all of the extra details, audio interface, Blender. So if you use Blender 3D or Unreal Engine, each one of them comes with a special connector, i.e. a plugin that allows you to just talk directly to Omniverse. But Omniverse is supposed to be like the central hub. So if you use any source control like Git or Perforce, you can kind of think of Omniverse as being a real-time Perforce or real-time source control engine with visuals built up on top. So an artist can literally go fork off a whole scene, start working on their scene. Cool. Another person can fork off and go actually just talk into it with AI and say, in this scene, I want trees over here, I want something over here on the construction pipeline, etc., etc. And that's truly the power of it all. You got some code ones, so they have all the code base open for you. So they've gone fully not open source, but like Unreal Engine. You can look at everything. You can see how they've built it all. It's all in Python. Creates XR demos. So whoever asked for what would they want to do for creating XR, true XR, i.e. photorealistic scenes on Omniverse, is all capable. So yeah, we're doing something with them. Isaac Sim. This is the one. So if you've got any synthetic data that you need to train, so a project that we're working on for sign language, problem with sign language is a lot of the data out there is white male hands. So middle-aged white male hands. Cool. That is not very kind of, well, there's so many different hands. You know, there's black hands, there's white hands, there's kids' hands, female, male, ones with tattoos. So we want to work with like John Moores University to basically create new data sets using very realistic simulation data, i.e. from Isaac Sim, highly accurate rendering, different animations because we've got the mocap data for it all now. But we're estimated that we need 18 million images. That's a lot of images. So we can't actually go around photographing that many hands. But what we can do is procedurally change everything within inside of the room. So jumping on there, because I think we're kind of up from time. What I want to show you here is this dude. So I'll try and see whether I can get the audio to go through. Sorry, guys. It should be going through. Let me just see. Share sound. Perfect. So inside of audio to face allows you to literally, through AI, so once you start it up, it's going to take about an hour to actually run. Because what it's doing is downloading TensorRT, the whole point of the hackathon. So TensorRT engine, inference engine, and it's making its own AI models on the fly. So you'll have a face here, got loads of other faces here, which is pretty cool. You can just drag them out. But you see here, up in the top right, we've got different audio clips here. So I'm going to set it back to the very beginning. Hopefully the sound should come through. So please let me if it does or doesn't.
The beige hue on the waters of the loch impressed all, including the French queen, before she heard that symphony again, just as young Arthur wanted.
Did the sound come through? Perfect. So you might think, oh, it's some voice, some animation. But the fact is it's doing it on the fly. So I can record me. So I'm just going to record me. Oh, is that going through? Let's try this. So, hello, how are you today? Hello, how are you today? Oof. And that's it. So it's basically interpreting my voice and doing the whole facial animation. Whatever we want to kind of say, actually, I want to have a bit of amusement, but also a bit more anger. Keep playing. Hello, how are you today? So it's a little bit different. It doesn't really go to my voice, but you know, we can crank a lot of these up. And it's all procedural. So I see this as being a power, like just the future of don't worry about your facial animation because animation takes so long to do. And the fact is, facial animations, if you're doing stuff live, no one's going to spot the mistakes. So you're not going to spend 2 weeks making an animation where you can just use this and just throw it onto different faces. Hello, how are you today? So we can change it through different ones.
The beige hue on the waters of the loch impressed all, including the French queen, before she heard that symphony again, just as young Arthur wanted.
So yeah, this is where NVIDIA is moving into. GPU accelerated everything. How to run it faster, how to get there faster. So yeah, if you haven't played around with it all, again, you're going to get access to all the code, swap on your faces. If you want to do your own scans of your face, I'd recommend using Rococo to make a 3D model of your face. Throw that into Omniverse. And when I say throw it in, drag it in, doesn't really matter. It will then take that model, push it over onto these, sort out the head. And if you can see there, bit of like, yeah, diffusion through the ears, you can then have your own talking face with your own AI because it sounds like you. You don't need AI to make it sound like you. So yeah, I'd highly recommend doing that. Cool. Right, let's go back straight onto this because we kind of ran out of time. So I'm quickly just going to go through a couple of the others. Where are we? Omniverse demo. Yes, I think that's about it really. So if you haven't been on any of the AI stuff, look into Hugging Face. Loads of free models, pre-trained on loads of different stuff, and it's just a great resource. So just start. Cool. That's all. Kind of went a little bit off, i.e. talking with you guys, which is the whole point of this. So absolutely loved it. Didn't really spend too much time on, the whole Omniverse, but I'm thinking I'm just going to be doing another couple of sessions just purely on Omniverse because one, it's awesome. And two, just want to say thanks again, guys, because I'll cut it off there. If there is any feedback that you want to give, go into that form. I'll share it around again by emails or just on a website. All of this recording, I'll throw up again. So if there's anything that you missed, but please just send us an email, get more involved. John, I'd love to chat to you just as a group. Same with you, Tim. And if anyone else wants to chat, by all means, let's get involved. Let's make some cool stuff happen. So yeah, Sweet.
Good. Thanks a lot. Really useful.
Sweet, man. Really, really love it. Yeah. Anyone else got anything to bring to the table? If you do, by all means. Yeah. Love it, guys. Sweet. Right. I shall leave you to it then. I never know how to end these things. It always feels awkward. So you're just like, do I just walk away? Yeah. Love it, guys. Right. Well, yeah, I definitely will leave it there. And I'll see you next time. So thanks again, guys. Bye.